going on, folks? It's me, Mr. Bucketlist here, and today I'm going to rank my top 5 solo cruises that I've been on. Let's check it out. So before we get started, like usual, I want to give a warm welcome to anyone that may be new or current to the channel. I'm glad to have you here. If you are new here, I love to do cruise content, theme parks, solo travel, just travel in general. I love to do it all. That's why I'm called Mr. Bucketlist, and I love to actually just enjoy conversations with the comment sections and things like that. So definitely stick around if you like that type of content. So as I stated earlier, this will be a top 5 ranking of my favorite solo cruises. As of this video, I've actually been on 7 to date. So like I said, this will be the top 5. The way I'm going to rank them is it's going to be mainly about my experience, the memories, the ship, how much I enjoyed it, how much I took away from it, things like that. And so just basically how much I thoroughly enjoyed the ship, the cruise, in all aspects. That's what's going to help my ranking. That's going to help me determine my ranking. Another thing to mention is a lot of people who are familiar with my channel already know, but if you're not familiar, I have done cruise documentaries, solo cruise documentaries on each and every one of these cruise ships and these cruises that I'm going to mention. So if you want to see them and check them out and see what made it so good or bad or in between, the options there, I'll definitely leave some links in there so you can check out the videos. Other than that, I hope you all enjoy this video. Let's get to number 5. The Norwegian Epic. So even though this is at number 5, by no means was this a bad cruise. This cruise ship and this cruise in general holds a special place in my heart. And this is why. This is my very first solo cruise, period. This is my very first time sailing on a mega ship. This is my first time trying out a solo cabin in the NCL Solos program. This is my first time being harassed by a cougar on a cruise ship. It's so many different things that was my first time just dealing with on these cruises. And like, it's just, man, like it's so hard to not add this on the list because it was a good cruise. And this is the reason why I do solo cruises now, because of what I experienced on the Norwegian Epic. Now, some of the bad things, ironically, had nothing to do with me or my experience. It was the people I was around. Not the people in the Solos program, but just people in general. A lot of people either love or hate this ship because of the design. It has some weird curves and stuff like that. And I understand now that I've cruised more and more. But at the time, I could care less. I was having such a good time. I was like, I'm on a solo cruise. I can do what I want. It was just great. Like everything I messed up on my first cruise when I cruised with my friend, I was able to make up for tenfold on this cruise. For example, on my first cruise, I went with my friend. We went to Atlantis, and we didn't stay that long because he wanted to go back to the bar and drink on the ship. And so since I was with him, I didn't want to lose my buddy. But when I went on my solo cruise, I was at Atlantis for the entire day. It was still empty. It was a great time, great weather. Everything I wanted to do, I literally made it up on this NCL Epic cruise. And so, like I said, I had it added on there. I didn't know the flow of things, so I was a little bit lost. This was a shorter cruise. It was about, I think it was a 3-night or 4-night cruise. I really can't remember now. But either way, it was one of my shorter cruises, so it wasn't much to it. But either way, it was a great cruise. Number 4, MSC Meraviglia. Now, just to give some reference to this cruise, this was one of the cheapest cruises I've ever been on. This was the first cruise I took right after the actual shutdown ended. So basically cruising resumed due to COVID and all that stuff. I just had so many reservations because when you went online and you saw the complaints about MSC and things like that, and they're like, oh, they're cheap cruises and they have terrible customer service, terrible quality. Everything just seemed to be going against me before I got on this cruise ship. And so I said, you know what? It's literally only a couple $100s. I'm able to get a balcony with this. Like, it's only a couple nights. I think it was a 2-night, 3-day cruise. I was like, look, it is what it is. It's going to be on a cruise ship. I'll see how it goes. And it literally blew me away. Just getting to the terminal in Miami. I mean, I didn't see any cars, like any traffic, period. When I walked inside the terminal itself, it was completely empty. I was literally able to get on the cruise ship in 5 minutes. I never stopped walking. Like, even going to security, I was the only person there. I was looking around like, am I in VIP? Like, what's going on? It was just so cool. And I mean, the kicker was, of course, getting on this beautiful cruise ship that's made for over 7,000 guests. It had 700 people on board. And so it literally was like a VIP experience from start to end. I've never been on a cruise like that before. And I doubt I'll ever be on a cruise like that again. It was literally a once in a lifetime cruise. The only negative, like I said, was the length. It was a really short cruise. We only went to one port, which is Ocean Cay, and that was pretty much it, the private island. But even going to the private island, that was the first time I ever actually made it to a private island. My previous 2 NCL cruises before that, every time we would go to that private island, well, actually 3 cruises now I think about it, we always missed it because you had to tender to the private island. If the waves were too bad, you just couldn't get on. And so, thankfully, MSC didn't have that problem. And that island was beautiful. It was beautiful. It had good food. It was spread out, large. It was just a really good time and a really good cruise. Even the spa on that cruise ship was just beautiful. It had so many different rooms. It was never busy. Every time I was in there, I was maybe like 1 or 2 other people in there for like a 12-room spa. Like, it was just amazing. It was such a great cruise. Now, I do want to be fair and say this cruise ship was not perfect. Outside of the people that were just complaining online. On the cruise itself, the entertainment itself, it wasn't bad, but it was just different. It was almost weird. It's just like opera singing and stuff like that. And I didn't really understand what's going on. It's not really my cup of tea. So, I mean, that's not really a negative. It's just something I didn't really look forward to each and every night. And then the food, it was just generic. It wasn't bad, but it was generic, and it wasn't that big of a selection. And so that were my only really 2 complaints. But you're on a cruise ship. I mean, 700 people. I mean, it literally felt like a private yacht. It was one of the best experiences ever. And let me remind you all, this was a cruise that cost literally, after taxes, fees, with a balcony, a little bit over $300. You cannot beat it. Number 3, Quantum of the Seas by Royal Caribbean. I had such a hard time trying to figure out where I wanted to put this cruise on this ship because there was so much that was good to it, and then there was some really, really bad parts to it. I'm just like, was this a bad cruise? Was it not? I literally had to go back and watch my own documentary and look at my old notes and things like that, and just kind of get my head straight. The thing that was the saving grace for this cruise ship and this cruise in general was the itinerary. Alaska is beautiful. It is one of my favorite itineraries ever. I love hot and cold weather. I really don't care. I love to go all around the world, as you all know. And just that itinerary out in Alaska, those views are beautiful. And it was just cool too because, I mean, not only are you in beautiful scenery, but then the weather, you were kind of getting a mixture of everything. Some days I literally had on shorts and I was hanging out at the pool, just chilling, swimming and stuff. And then some days I literally looked like an Eskimo. I had on all these full like face masks and thermal jackets and I looked crazy. And a lot of people that saw me on Facebook were like, I'm so confused with the weather. It's like, what are you wearing? Like, what's going on? I'm like, that's just Alaska. It was really unique. Like, I've never been on a cruise like that where I just didn't know what to expect. And for someone like me that has been on a lot of cruises in a short amount of time period, you need that. It's just really hard to explain. That's literally one of those type of cruises where you have to experience it for yourself to understand what all the hype is about. I don't want to mislead anybody. I mean, you may end up going on an Alaska cruise and not really liking it, but I guarantee you all, you will see some of the most beautiful sights ever. Now, when it came to the actual cruise ship itself, that was my first time trying out a Quantum class ship. I've done Freedom class and I've done Oasis class for Royal Caribbean, and then I've done NCL cruises as well. But it was different. And I mean, it was so cool because it not only had different type of shows and stuff like that, but then it had things like bumper cars, indoor skydiving, laser tag, the flow rider. I mean, of course you had plenty of food, bars. It was such a different style experience than what I'm used to from my past few cruises, especially after doing Symphony and Wonder of the Seas after each other. I really need that change of pace. And I mean, my Alaska cruise was literally everything I was looking for. Now, on the flip side, it also included a lot of things that I was not looking for, and that's why it came so hard to ranking this cruise, because it was the first time I had been on a 100% capacity cruise since the shutdown ended, and I was not expecting for that to be on a cruise to Alaska. I was like, okay, it's Alaska. They're going to not going to be that many people trying to go out there and this and that, and no, I was wrong about that. And not only that, but then, I mean, as far as the staffing was at like 75%. And then by the end of our cruise, it was down to about 50% because of people getting COVID and stuff. So, I mean, I didn't expect to be on a full cruise ship out in Alaska. And I definitely did not expect for a COVID outbreak to happen on my last day there. And also getting COVID as well, leaving the ship. So many different things happened that it made that cruise somewhat seem bad. But thankfully, it all took place near the end of the cruise. So I said, you know what? I enjoyed the cruise for the most part. This has to be number 3. And one last thing before I move on to number 2, because this actually also helped with the ranking on this ship, is the inside cabin. This is my first time having an inside cabin that wasn't a studio room. I've done studio rooms on NCL, but this is just a standard inside cabin. And even with that, it still came with the virtual balcony that it did not have to pay extra for. And it had a live feed with a live camera and also live sound on the outside of the ship. And at first I thought it was a joke, and I was watching, I was like, okay, it's a cool little mountain outside. So I ran upstairs to the pool deck, and sure enough, that same exact view that I saw from my virtual balcony in my room was the same exact view outside. It was amazing. Number 2, Wonder of the Seas by Royal Caribbean. Folks, this cruise was phenomenal. And it's just so wild because when I went on this cruise, I literally had it in my mind, oh, this is just going to be a throwaway cruise. I'm not really going to care about it that much. It's a new ship. It's during spring break, so it's going to be crazy. There's going to be a lot of kids. A lot of things are not going to be working right. Staffing's going to be issues. I thought in my head, and I'm so happy I was wrong, but I just thought I was going to have all these issues that just never took place. And the ship was just beautiful. I thoroughly enjoyed this cruise. I cannot say it enough. One thing I will mention is, and this definitely is for all the cruises I've been on, this cruise ship literally had the best food on any cruise ship that I've been on to date. I loved every single meal. I loved it so much that literally I went to the buffet and the MDR literally in the same night. I just wanted to try it all because there was so much on there and it was so good. Not to mention, I mean, obviously, this is, at least as of this recording, this is the largest cruise ship in the world, and it lives up to its name. It's so much to do on this ship. Just like Quantum of the Seas, of course you have flow riders, but you actually have 2 flow riders. You have the zip line. You have the huge pools. You have so many different pools. You have almost like a little mini water park that has slides. I mean, it's just so much on this cruise ship. You can only be bored if you want to be bored. If you want to sit around and lay around, that's fine. I actually did that some days, but it was just such a good time. Not to mention, when it comes to private islands, this actually is the home to one of my favorite private islands ever, which is the Labadee, Haiti. The jet skiing tour was phenomenal. Oh my God, I loved it so much. It has like a little slides that you can, almost like a little mini water park where it has like slides and adventure park and things like that. It has the little mountain coaster, the Alpine coaster that has just beautiful views. It was just so much going on in this cruise ship. It was just amazing. Now the weird thing is, for this cruise, I actually was almost like, I was literally on like a date the entire time. Like I ended up finding this woman. She was near my age, and we just ended up hanging out and just kind of just doing stuff together for the most part, like while we were on the ship. And then when I did my excursions, I was kind of doing my own thing. Then we would meet back up and stuff like that. And so I'm not going to say that it made the cruise better or worse. It just made it different and standing out from all my other cruises, because I usually just, if you all watch this channel, I usually just got to do my own thing and then end up meeting cougars and stuff like that. And it just kind of rotates. But this entire time, for this entire cruise, I was just kind of with somebody. And so it was just weird. That's not the reason why I'm ranking it this high. I love the cruise itself in general, but it was a different feeling. I'm like, okay, I can see where you can go with this, but at the same time, I kind of did miss my space as well, so just kind of threw things off. Getting back to the cruise, the shows again were amazing. Aqua Theater shows, I'm always gonna love those shows, and this kind of goes neck and neck with the one that was on Symphony. This is one of my favorite cruise ship shows ever. Those Aqua Theater shows are amazing. And then the last special thing about Wonder of the Seas is this is my first time actually sailing on a new cruise ship. It had literally been in service less than a month by the time I actually made it on board. So that was really cool. Just a really good time. Now, before we get to number 1, I quickly had to throw this one in here. Mariner of the Seas by Royal Caribbean. Just like NCL Epic being at number 5 and this only just being a mention, this is not a knock to this cruise ship whatsoever. This one cruise alone is the reason why I've only taken Royal Caribbean cruises since. This set the bar extremely high for any cruise ship going forward. And the reason why is the service, the food, at the time, the low capacity, just everything about it just felt a step up from what I had previously had with NCL and with MSC. I don't know how to explain it, but I just really enjoy Royal Caribbean's service outside of what I experienced on Quantum of the Seas. I knew it had such high potential after I get on a larger ship, the Mariner of the Seas, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But I did enjoy this cruise. Now, the reason why it's only just a mention and not actually ranked is there is not much that comes to mind outside of it just making me love Royal Caribbean. Like, I really can't tell you, oh, I did this, I did that, without actually watching my solo cruise documentary, because it was just literally just a standard 3-night, 4-day cruise that I've done literally 3 times now. I'm going to do again on Virgin Voyages. And I was just over it. I mean, that was literally the first time I did not get off in Nassau, because I was like, I just can't do it anymore. Like, I'm so tired of that port. But it's like I said, it's not a knock against the actual cruise ship. It was a knock against the itinerary. If it was a different itinerary, maybe this would be a lot higher because I have a lot more time on the ship and things like that. But that's the reason why. Either way, this was a beautiful cruise ship. I would do it again in a heartbeat. I love my experience on the Mariner of the Seas. And we have finally made it to number 1. Norwegian Breakaway and Symphony of the Seas by Royal Caribbean. Folks, ain't no way on earth these cruises were not going to be number 1. They both represent the pinnacle of what solo cruising is all about. Let me first start with the NCL Breakaway. It was just so much fun. Right before COVID, everybody was ready to have a good time. I apologize if I sound like a broken record from my last video, but I just want to reinforce again, I love this cruise. It was just amazing. The main thing that stood out for me was the itinerary. I had been dying to go to Jamaica. Like, I really wanted to go to Jamaica and also to the Cayman Islands, and I was so scared that weather was going to mess it up and things like that. It didn't. The weather was beautiful in all the areas. The only time we had bad weather was for the NCL private island that I have still not been to this day. I've missed it 3 times in a row. But it didn't matter because the cruise is such a good time. That time that we would have spent at that island doing who knows what was spent as a solo group on the cruise ship. And it was just amazing. Like, it was just such a good time. You all knew it was coming. But yes, the Cougars, oh my goodness. Like, man, it was just crazy because I mean I was with Cougars that were my mother's age, and I was with chicks that were my age. I was a mess. I'll just be honest with you all. I was a mess because I was having such a good time, but we were all just having fun, and this cruise really set the bar. I was like, you know what? If this is what my cruise experience is going to be like every time I cruise, I'm going to cruise every chance I get. It was just that much fun. And then, of course, a couple days later, the cruise line shut down because COVID happened and cruise ships nearly died. But it was just, I went out with such a bang. I was like, you know what? Like, once I realized, I was like, okay, we're not going to be cruising for a good little while. I said, it's okay because it was just such a good time. Now, as far as the negatives, there really were none. Again, like I said, it was right before the shutdown. So, I mean, if you can have a good cruise before the shutdown, there's really no reason to complain about it. And so I have 0 complaints whatsoever with this cruise. Everything was literally perfect. Now, moving on to Symphony of the Seas, I'll say it before and I'll say it again. As of this video, this is still my favorite cruise ship on this planet. There was nothing like walking up to this cruise ship, going through that terminal, and walking onto this ship for the very first time. It literally felt like I was walking into a different universe. It's something about it. It seems unreal that they have the technology where something like this can actually float at sea and go on cruises. It was just amazing. And just like the standout on the NCL Breakaway was the Solos program, the standout on this cruise at the time period was the Key. And so for those who may not be familiar with the Key, at the time period, it was like a VIP service where literally you pay like $20 basically per day. So an extra, just depending on how many nights your cruise is, not much at all. You get reserved seating, VIP seating, you get VIP entrance onto the ship and off the ship. You get a free breakfast when you leave. You get free room service. It was just all these different benefits. And literally, people thought I was VIP. Even the people that were in VIP thought I was one of them. Literally, one lady asked me, she's like, how much you pay for your cruise? 20, 30,000? And I'm just like, no, like what? It just, that VIP service with the Key, it made the cruise phenomenal. I will never forget it. Now, the unfortunate part is they have stripped the Key down quite a bit. It's not worth it, in my opinion, anymore whatsoever. But that's not what this list is about. It's about what I actually experienced when I had a great time. And it made, like I said again, the crew is just amazing. And then, of course, not only that, but the itinerary. This is my first time going to St. Martin. St. Thomas, going out there to those different islands. And it was just such an amazing time to be on that ATV. You all know I'm Mr. Bucketlist, so I love my thrills. I would not have this channel if it wasn't for my adrenaline rush. And just to be on an ATV out there and going through the city streets and through the mountains and things like that, it was just incredible. And then going to the Maho Beach with that famous, where the planes fly over your head and the jets blow you back and all that stuff. I mean, everything about this cruise, again, it just worked. I mean, I met so many cool people. I was telling people about my YouTube channel. I even met people from my YouTube channel on the cruise ship. It was just really amazing. Of course, surrounded by cougars the entire time. It was such a good time. Like, I had so much fun. And again, this was during Halloween. Like, literally, our cruise was 2 days before Halloween. So Halloween did occur in the middle of our cruise. And it's just, I don't know if that was it or what, but everybody was just having a great time. Yes, there were fights on the cruise ship, but it didn't really matter. Either way, this was, again, one of my favorite cruises ever. Neck and neck with NCL Breakaway. Phenomenal cruises. If there were a cruise ship or a set of cruises I would recommend to anybody, whether you're a solo cruiser or not, it would be on one of those cruises. Make sure you go at the right time where it's not busy, it's not a bunch of kids. But either way, NCL Breakaway and Royal's Symphony of the Seas, I can highly recommend to anybody out there. And that was my list. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Just to let you all know that solo cruising truly has changed my life. I would have never done it if it hadn't been for that cruise on the NCL Epic. And again, that's why that was number 5. It just had to be on there. But each and every time it's progressively gotten better and better and better. And I mean, not only that, but my editing, my storytelling, things like that, that has all improved because of my solo cruising, my love for solo cruising. So even though this is almost just a recap of my best of, I truly made this video for those people that either can't solo cruise or want to solo cruise and are just timid about it. Whatever the circumstance may be, just give you all something entertaining to watch and just kind of just relive those old memories that I previously had. So again, I hope you all enjoyed this video. It's your guy, Mr. Bucketlist. I'll be seeing you soon. Peace out. Thanks for watching the video. If you like what you saw, please check out my channel for more videos just like this. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Until then, I'll see you next time. Peace.